we've got it covered. Overtime, sponsored by Wendy's. They got you for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and everything in between.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Overtime. I'm Scott Leber.
And I'm David Greenberg. We've got your weekly dose of high school basketball highlights and information coming your way once again. What a show we have for you this week.
I'll be chatting with Hononegah girls coach Jason Brunke. His team's off to an 8-0 start. And as usual, we'll update you on where the NIC-10 boys race stands.
I'll bring you a feature story on the only female head coach of a varsity boys basketball team in the Rockford area, Beth Dutch of North Boone. Plus, we'll have one very unusual and touching play of the week.
But we begin with tonight's highlights from around the area, starting in the Big Northern Conference and at Byron, where the Tigers have been roaring very loudly lately.
Yeah, they have. They started the season with back-to-back losses to Winnebago and Dixon, but since then have won 6 straight. Tonight, the Tigers hosted Genoa Kingston. Let's start in the second half because this one went down to the wire. Nice finish through the contact. That's Isaiah Gooden. These two teams traded blows back and forth, but when the Cogs needed a bucket, they relied on Alec Golembuski, who was money from downtown. Tigers needed a bucket to respond, and Max Connell answers with some help from the bank. But as I said, Golembuski could not miss. He finished with 18 points. Byron trailed by 3 with just 5 seconds to go. Here's what Coach Hewells drew up. Sideline out of bounds. Cross court pass to Aiden Lambert. Makes a man miss and heaves it up, but can't connect. Genoa Kingston comes into Byron and picks up a big-time conference win, 57-54. Ethan Franklin said he was really proud of his team.
I feel great. We have a lot of composure. We're mostly juniors and sophomores, and, they're doing a really good job as far as handling pressure situations, and I couldn't really be happier.
I always practice my shot. My coach knows I'm a shooter. My whole team knows I'm a shooter. They can always count on me when they need a big shot, and I just love my role.
The hottest team in the Big Northern Conference remains the Rockford Lutheran Crusaders, though. They had a busy week.
Yeah, they did. They had games on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. They won all 3 to lift their record to 10-0. Tonight, they were right back at it again at Winnebago. Both teams were missing key players. Bago's Ethan Ackerman is in quarantine. Lutheran's Tyler Penny had a family commitment, so he was out. And Lutheran also had Zach Darris stuck on the sideline most of the first half in foul trouble. So in the first quarter, it was Carl Furch on fire for Bago. Here he is, knocking down 3. Furch again will launch for 3 and hit. He made 3 of those in the quarter and scored 25 points in the game. Lutheran freshman Mike Jones showed some serious moves in the post. Jones scored 14. Lutheran led by 18 at the half. Second half now, Buell heats up for Bago, hitting 3 shots from deep. Then it's Furch on the inbound, firing a home run ball for Ray Marici, who slams it through. Marici scored 17. Zach Darris running the break for Lutheran. Here he comes. Logan Villafuerte scores the lay-in there. And then Walter Hill Jr. driving in for 2 of his 14 points. Lutheran wins 83-68, so the Crusaders are now 11-0. A side note to that game, the 3 officials, Jerry Gussman, Jim Irvin, and Scott Norris, were brought to the game and then transported back home in a limousine. Retired official Patrick Burke of Rockford owns this set of wheels. He knows the referees have been working hard doing games practically every night, and he thought this was a good way to show his support. Burke calls this car the Cadillac.
This is my first one for referees. Usually it's the grandkids and the kids for birthdays and stuff like that.
How was the ride?
That was the best part of the whole night, was the ride over here. Whenever I need a ride now, I'm just going to give Pat a call and see if he'll come get me.
I thought he was crazy, just like usual, but that's Pat, so he used to be my regular partner, so I wouldn't expect anything less.
We need a ride like that to the games, David. Actually, I've got Pat's business card, so we might be in business.
Perfect.
All right, also in the Big Northern Conference, Rockford Christian edged Dixon 58-57. Stillman Valley beat Rock Falls 61-53, and North Boone wins at home over Oregon 70-63.
We now switch our focus to Rochelle and an Interstate 8 conference game. The Hubs hosted Sycamore. Garrett Burden has the ball for Rochelle. He's going to pull up from 3 and knock it down. What a shot. Brody Armstrong drives for Sycamore here. He kicks it back to Xavier Gagne-Payne, who spins in the lane and connects with the floater. But Rochelle's coming right back with a score of their own. Garrett Burden slices the defense for a nice layup. He had 30 points. Sycamore possession now. That's Samuel Etienne, who passes to Tyler York, who misses on the 3-ball, but Ganya Payne grabs the board and lays it up with the foul. Next possession, Ben Herman tries to pass, but Garrett Burden pokes it away. Tanner Lager scoops it up and finds Garrett Burden, who scores. The Hubs beat Sycamore 73-56.
We shift gears now again to the Northwest Upstate Illini Conference. The Aquin Bulldogs and the Pecatonic Indians. Both teams seem ready to go in this one. As you see, the Indians fired up for the pregame, but as Aquin with a hot hand early, Will Gustafson to Ben Hunziker, who drained the 3. Moments later, the steal by Brendan Carlson, who runs down the court and gets the lay-in. Later on, Gustafson finding Hunziker again for a 3. They scored early and often in this game, the Bulldogs did. Peck trying to come back here as a falling Trent Hentland finds Jacob Allison. That's good. Now down to the end of the first half, Indians trying to get a spark to take into halftime. It's Allison again from deep right before the buzzer, nailing it. Aquin beat Pecatonica, though, 58-48.
Check out the ladies. Rock Falls is Stillman Valley on the Cardinals senior night. Kylie Fishbach can't get her layup to go, but that's what your teammates are for. Mallory Pinsky with the putback on the other end. The Cardinals respond with their own number 20. That's Peyton Barger, who connects from downtown. Stillman gets another triple. This time from the corner, it's Faith Fowler. The Rock Falls had their shots falling all night long as Abby Payton takes one dribble and buries the J. Rock Falls hangs on for the road win 43-35. Coming up next, Nick 10 boys highlights from Thursday and an updated look at the conference race.
And we'll learn more about the team that is clearly the team to beat in the Nick 10 girls race, the Hononegah Indians. We'll be joined by their head coach, Jason Brunke. You're watching Overtime. Welcome back. We're getting a feel for which teams are true contenders for the Nick 10 Boys Championship. One of them is clearly the EC Rabs.
Yeah, we knew they would be in the hunt this season with 2 returning first-team all-conference players. The E-Rabs have been playing as well as any Nick 10 team of late. They've won their last 5 games, all by 15 points or more. Thursday night, they showed off their skill again. They hosted Boylan. The Titans went into that one on a 4-game winning streak. E-Rabs ball here. This is Paysheen's Harris attacking and gets the and 1. But it was the Titans who dominated early. Noah Harkness from deep. He's got it. Zach Hewitt matches that with his own 3-point basket. The Titans led by 9, but the E-Rabs got it together. Biggie Luster off the screen from the baseline. He connects from behind the arc. The E-Rabs force the turnover. Latrell Kiles down court says, "I'm open." He'll finish that off. East improved to 5-1 with another convincing win, 63-41.
Well, Mike Miller's Hononegah Indians were finally back on the court last night after 2 weeks of quarantining because of COVID. They took on Auburn. Owen Hart here, going to look for the big fella, 6'8" junior Dominic Comiso, who goes up for the soft dunk. Adrian Agee is going to pull up, and he will connect for the Knights. Brandon Beck, folks, can fill it up. Here he is right in front of us. That's what he does. Carson Roberts from the same spot, same result. The Indians are back, folks, and they are hungry. They won this game 46-27. Let's take a look at the division standings going into the weekend. In Division A, Harlem leads the way with a 7-1 conference record. Boylan next at 4-2. Auburn is 4-4. Then comes Belvedere North at 1-6, and Freeport at 0-7. In Division B, Jefferson still leads the way at 7-0. Hononegah next at 2-0. East is 5-1. Guilford is 3-4, and Belvedere is 0-8.
The Nick 10 girls race, at least for now, has Hononegah way out in front of everybody else.
Yeah, the Indians are in control of Division B. They certainly look like the best team overall in the conference. They're 8-0, and this week they beat probably the next 3 best teams in the conference, Harlem, Auburn, and Boylan, all by lopsided scores. Earlier, I spoke with Hononegah first-year head coach Jason Brunke about the terrific season his girls are putting together.
Well, Jason, a lot of teams, started at the beginning of the season were struggling because there wasn't a lot of preparation time, and they were kind of feeling their way through the first couple of weeks. But your team, from the very first game, looked like it was ready to go. What do you attribute that to? That your girls were ready right from the start?
Well, we had a pretty good fall. When we were able to gather last fall, I think it was like October. We had really great participation and all 3 levels. We had great participation, and they were focused and ready. And I think they were just happy to be back out on the floor. And of course, a lot of our girls are playing year round, so they were still kind of in basketball shape. They were playing in tournaments with their various travel teams and things like that. So it wasn't a huge adjustment as far as kind of getting their legs back under them. Of course, it was a different animal going every single day all of a sudden. But they came ready to go from day one. And I think that's a lot of it. And we pace up right away just to get them ready to play. And they took to it and kept working.
Your team does a lot of things well. What would you say is the biggest key to their success so far?
Well, it's all been generated from that defense. Our defense is playing extremely fast. They're playing, they're playing discipline. They're doing the things that we're telling them to do, and I think they're getting more and more comfortable as you've even seen in the past couple of weeks. As they're more comfortable, the confidence is growing, and now they're starting to read and react and make plays on top of just being athletes. And but the biggest thing is they're playing hard all the time, and that's such an I think it can be understated, but any basketball coach knows if coaches can focus on X's and O's, and we're not trying to constantly push effort and all that, then it makes the game a lot easier, and it kind of builds that confidence and it builds off itself.
Hononegah lost some good players from last year through graduation. One key player transferred to another Nick 10 school. The head coach resigned and retired after all those years. What were your expectations coming into this season? Were they this high for this team?
Well, they've surprised me a little bit. I'm not going to lie about that, but our expectations are always high, and as we've kind of always, the mantra has always been, the only real expectations we have is that you come out every day and you play hard and you work to get better, and if that process is in place and if the players are buying into that, and if every day at practice they're working hard and getting better, then results tend to come with that. And there's no doubt about it. And of course, yeah, we did lose quite a bit of talent, but we've got some very, very talented athletes on this roster. And to be honest with you, like I said, our coaching staff's probably a little surprised, but we're not all that surprised that after watching the first couple weeks of practice, we knew that we were going to be very competitive.
And one of those talented players who has caught my eye is Emma Clark. I really enjoy watching her play. What is her role and what is her skill set for just a sophomore right now?
Yeah, she's a very, very talented scorer, just very naturally talented scorer. I think that's the first thing people will realize when they watch her play, is just how naturally gifted she is as far as knocking down shots from the outside, but she's also got some pretty good inside game and the ability to handle the ball and see the floor pretty well. So I think that part of her game is really going to grow and allow us to be a little bit more dynamic than just kind of a catch and shoot wing type of player. And as you watch more and more of her, I think you see a lot of her instincts take over on both sides of the floor. I mean, she's obviously not a very strong kid just looking at her, but I think she's one of our top rebounders this year because she's always in the mix. She's always fighting, and she's always kind of reading the play and getting the most out of those instincts. And I think that's one of the things that's really making her stand out is she's always getting to the right spot now, and she's seeing the floor very well on both sides. And she's using her length on the defensive side to get deflections and those type of things that really kind of amp us up.
You spent, I think, 11 years working under Randy Weibel, the previous head coach. What's the biggest thing you learned from him, and what's maybe one or two things you're doing maybe slightly different than what he did?
Yeah, well, one or two, I pretty much learned everything from him. It's unbelievable. I came in, being away from the game of basketball for, like I had told you before this, I played for 2 years in high school, and that was it. And really focused on playing baseball in high school. And so when I got here, I really had no idea what coaching basketball was all about. I mean, it was if you would have told me, 10 years ago that this is where I'd be, I'd probably laugh at you. But after, him kind of embracing me under, in his coaching staff, I took advantage of it, and I just kind of sat and soaked in everything he did, as far as, everything, and building a program, communicating with players, all of those things are obviously critical. And then the number one thing, of course, is just how to install an offense and how to operate a practice and how to make sure that your players are prepared.
All right, thanks, Coach Brunke, for joining us. He is doing a great job with that team.
He certainly is.
All right.
There are plenty of female head coaches of girls basketball teams in the area, but only one female head coach of a boys varsity team. You'll meet her next in our Spotlight segment. you followed high school basketball over the years, you're most likely familiar with the name Lenny Dutch. He was the head boys basketball coach in North Boone roughly a decade ago. Now, a member of his family has taken the reins. His daughter-in-law, Beth, became the first female varsity boys basketball coach in North Boone history and the first varsity boys head coach in our area in recent memory. We feature Coach Dutch in this week's Spotlight segment.
It was nice to get her here to the high school. She really connects with the kids, and it's wonderful to see.
Then we gotta push. We gotta push.
We just know that she has a great rapport with the students. She respects them, they respect her. They really want to try the hardest for her.
She's confident, she always believes in us, and she sets a good example, I guess you could say. Like, she's always sending us out stuff to look at, and you can tell she really wants to, like, make us better.
We can't fade away on that. You gotta go up strong. We have to attack the basket.
If you would have asked me when I was little, do you think you're gonna be the varsity men's basketball coach in, 25 years, I probably would have said, yeah, I think I will.
Good, last time down, let's go. Good job getting around the screen, Will.
We were pretty grateful to have her come to the high school and coach for us.
Going back to the ball is because you want basketball.
Well, my personality, I would probably say, is pretty intense. My husband and my family and the kids would tell you,
if you don't want to do it and you want to do it for a quarter, it's not going to work for you, no matter what you do.
I came in as a new coach in a new program, but not necessarily new to them. I've coached or taught most of these boys since they were little.
I was excited. I knew she was going to come in and push us hard, and she's done just that.
We've had her as a coach in my class since we were in 4th grade. So it's nothing new for our class, but we're still trying to work together with the juniors and seniors.
I love connecting with the athletes. I think that's one of my strengths is relationships with them. I don't have to be like a huge X's and O's coach, but I get them to work hard for me. I went to a camp that Pat Summit was coaching, and she always said, I'm not an X's and O's coach. I get my kids to work hard for me, and if you can get your kids to work hard for you, they'll do anything for you. So whatever you implement, they'll do it. And that's one of the things I think that I'm good at as a coach.
Ripping it through and actually seeing the floor.
Lenny Dutch has helped coach basketball and football now for several years, but it's good to see another Dutch in the system. They've done a lot for the community in coaching and helping out, so it's great to see a family tradition there.
A little pressure there because he is such an excellent coach, but I had a lot of support and a lot of encouragement from both families. Lenny still is an exceptional coach, and last year when one of my teams was playing and we had just won a championship, and we sat down to eat, and he said, well, I think you're ready. I think you're going to move to the high school now and coach the boys. And I was like, okay. But he's always been very supportive of anything that we've done, that my boys have done, coaching-wise. I think he just wants me involved up here, and like I said before, it wasn't that I didn't want to, it was just, it wasn't a good fit at the time.
Shoving the ball to the right side instead of reversing the ball.
I'm really thankful for the opportunity, and I hope it opens up doors for other female coaches. I would say there's nothing to stop you, no matter what you want to do, whether it's be the player, be the coach, be the manager, be the athletic trainer, be the principal, be the teacher. It doesn't matter what you want to be. You can do whatever you want to do. And again, I preach that to my players all the time. Oh, I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to do that. You can do anything that you want. If you would have asked me when I was little, do you think you're going to be the varsity men's basketball coach in 25 years, I probably would have said, yeah, I think I will.
It was great talking with Coach Dutch. She's definitely an inspiration for a lot of women out there.
Yeah, she is, and coaching just runs naturally in that story. That's a great story there, David. Thanks for that. All right, don't go away. We have a play of the week that will tug at your hearts. That's straight ahead.
Well, it's time for our play of the week. This one comes with a bit of a different spin on it.
Yeah, this happened Wednesday night in Dixon when the Duchesses hosted Stillman Valley. Stillman Valley's senior, Georgia Ballard, has not been able to play all season because of an injury. She needed only 6 points this season to reach 1,000 for her career. So at the start of the game, Dixon agreed to allow Ballard to take the court. You see her standing under the basket on only one leg because of the injury. 3 straight times, Dixon inbounded the ball to Ballard, giving her 3 layups and the 6 points she needed to reach 1,000.
Right before that, Stillman Valley allowed Dixon to score 6 straight points to even the score out. What a great act of sportsmanship and great gesture by both coaches to allow that to happen. I got Ballard's reaction to that touching moment.
It's very heartwarming to know that there's still that kindness in people's heart that can do something in such a difficult time. I really want this to not be about me and to be more about how amazing Dixon is and how amazing my team is to do something like this for me.
It is just so awesome to see. I've seen it all over social media. It's been on multiple pages, and SportsCenter reached out to her this morning.
Yeah, wow. By the way, we want to thank Sam Ramirez of River Country Radio 101.7 in Dixon for allowing us to use that video of Ballard scoring those 6 points. He's the one who shot it on his phone. Well, we're going to be right back. Well, be sure to join us every Friday night at this time for Overtime. We also rebroadcast the show Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock on Fox 39.
And remember, for highlights and scores anytime, go to our website, mystateline.com. That does it for this episode. Just feels like the season's gone by so fast.
It's a short season, but we're going to go right from hoops right into football in a couple of weeks. So we got to start training for football now, Dave. So we're ready to go.
I know. Thankfully, the weather's been a little bit nice.
All right. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.
Overtime, sponsored by Wendy's. They got you for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and everything in between.